Do you buy vinyl?
Hello, I'm Chris Robinson.
I'm Neil Casal.
This is What's in the Bag. We're at Amoeba Records in Los Angeles, California.
Still lessons in these blues. We're still free to choose. So put on your dancing shoes.
Did you take the price tag out of the expensive one too?
I
So
know,
no one can see how
wanted
bougie
to.
we are.
Yeah, we're pretty. I got a bougie one as well.
I have two bougie ones. This is Arthur Big Boy Crudup. I don't know why they didn't put Big Boy on the front cover, but this is a cool United Artist import of, you know, the That's All Right Mama. I mean, that's his most famous song. You don't get Elvis Presley, you know, without that song. But it's funny because for a guy who is one of the real architects of blues, and like the next part where rock and roll starts to, you know, bubble out of that. It's funny how his, you know, stature hasn't, I guess he didn't sell as many records as Muddy Waters and B.B. King and stuff. So I have it now and you don't.
I've met people's all very kind.
I'll go for my expensive pick.
Bougie record picks.
Bougie record pick today. Book of White Sky Songs. I'm going for this because he's great. This is a really pretty rare record. I'm a huge fan of Arhoolie Records. It's a great label. Great.
You know, he's also famous, well, to me he's famous because Sky Songs meant that he improvised a lot of lyrics and like,
They channeled them, yeah.
Yeah, like an African improv folk poetry sort of tradition, right?
So I told the polar boy, tell Andy that would he mind picking up when they get to Ludora? There's something around at that river I couldn't stand. He said, oh yeah, I'd be glad to come through.
Judy Sill, mysterious lady, very dynamic songwriter. If you don't know anything about her, good luck trying to get a lot of definitive information because she's actually, I think, one of the most interesting women in folk rock or rock music. I find little bits and pieces. She supposedly committed some armed robberies. Her stepfather was like a famous Disney illustrator. Supposedly too, her graphic art was like really beautiful, like her paintings and stuff. And I've never seen or known. Someone must have one somewhere, who knows? And she's also, you know, sensitive and troubled. Tragic, but super interesting story. And I was super excited to see this because she really only made 2 records on the fledgling Asylum Records, David Geffen's first signing to that label, if I believe my music stuff. And I love her live recordings because she rambles on about the apocalypse and like all these great sort of LSD-inspired scenarios.
It's a religious song about flying saucers coming at the end of the world to take all the sensitive, deserving people away and bring them back when the Holocaust is over and start the new age, you know?
So if you don't know Judy Sill,
Find it
you know,
incredible.
especially, yeah, we probably need some more strong feminine voices, even from the past like this. So genius stuff.
Sun sifting through the gray.
This is a record by John Renbourn and Wiz Jones called Joint Control. I have not heard it yet. John Renbourn is just, you know, a true genius of the acoustic guitar. Made many records of his own, was in Pentangle with Bert Jansch. And Wiz Jones had been around even before John Renbourn, like one of the first traveling sort of hippie folkies. If you really listen, it's really incredible guitar player.
England at that time, just for whatever reason, produced some of the finest guitarists and singers.
And they were the guys who'd like go to Morocco and go over to
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
people like Wiz Jones and stuff, and Clyde Palmer started the Incredible String Band. Getting a record deal was one thing, and like, you know, but music business is tough, you know, and it's grinding, and these guys would just rather take their guitar and hitchhike to Afghanistan, and we'll see in 6 months, you know, so.
And they really did things like that. Yeah.
Wiz Jones is still alive, still playing music, and.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, the more time goes by, the more important people like this get.
My last pick is the Iceman, Albert Collins, the master of the Telecaster, on Blue Thumb Records, Los Angeles record label. Albert, master guitar player, and was the first like legitimate blues jam I was ever invited on stage to sing with the man, and I was scared to death. And he was very kind.
He was cool,
and
huh?
yeah, well, yeah, he was cool. But the other cool Albert Collins story is around that same time, it was January 1991. I was in a band called the Black Crowes, and we were opening for another band called ZZ Top. And our keyboard player at the time had been in Albert Collins' band for many years, so we had access to the blues world and all this stuff we were interested in. Albert and his band came down, and I guess he was gonna sit in with Billy and stuff. But they came in our dressing room. We had like practice guitars, and he's famous for playing it. You only ever saw him playing a Telecaster. And he goes right over and picks up this gold top Les Paul, and he put it on.
Oh,
and I was
so
just
weird.
staring at it like, you don't play that, and he was just like, yeah, I had one once. I was like, I just saw the master of the Telecaster rock a Les Paul in my dressing room.
This is a record by another artist that both of us love. It's probably my favorite Townes record. It's never talked about as far as I can tell. There's some absolutely beautiful songs and performances, and it's a really noisy sounding record. I think something had happened to the tapes. It sounds like the tapes came out of a garbage can or something, which makes me love it even more. And I mean, particularly the first song, At My Window. He later had a record called At My Window, but the reading of that song on this record is pretty heartbreaking, and so this album is worth it for that alone.
Babe and I lying here, watching the evening fall.
Another UK.
You really anglophiled it out.
I told you. Shirley Collins, she made records in the 60s and 70s, and I don't think has made a record for many years. And this album came out last year, I think. She's much older and her voice is lower, and it took me a minute to get used to that when I heard it. But once I got through that, I realized what an incredible album it is.
That you can still make beautiful music as you get older. It's only not beautiful when older musicians try to make music to stay young and be relevant. So, if you can remove yourself from the maya of like that sort of corporate construct, and there's so many people that you love from whatever era who still have so much to offer.
Exactly, yeah. So Shirley, 50 years later, her artistic center is still completely intact, and she's over 80. And it's pretty inspiring as a musician to know that someone like this exists.
De trente mètres l'eau sur le bord de l'eau, sur le bord de la vaisseau.
There you go, young people.
Yeah,
We're old, and we bought records by people even more antiquated than us.
that's right.
Just to prove our point.
So there's a lesson.
Cheers.